You're now listening to N21FM, a Pokemon podcast. I am your host, Glenn, joined, as always, of course, by my wonderful friend Johnny, but also joined today by another member of our testing group. It was going to be the whole squad this week, but there were some scheduling complications. So we are joined in the studio by our good friend and friend of the show, Zack Theriot. Welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming on again. It's exciting to go back and talk about what's going to be some really interesting stuff today. I'm always happy to have you on. Have you had a good week?
Yeah, pretty good. Just standard stuff. It's been raining.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. It's been raining.
Pretty gross weather. Yeah. All right. Johnny, how about you? How you doing today?
I got to have like my first sort of Father's Day, so that's kind of cool.
Aw.
A little ahead of time, but it's fine.
That's okay. Yeah. It's very nice. It is Father's Day, the day that we're recording this. By the time it comes out, actually, it'll be Juneteenth. So happy Juneteenth. Mm-hmm. Another very important holiday to celebrate. Mm-hmm. And happy Father's Day if you're watching this, like, I guess the really late time that it's going to get uploaded to Patreon. So lots of good celebrations happening on those two fronts. I'm having a pretty good week. It's been a busy one for me, but we had a really good morning. We went and got a nice breakfast at a local coffee shop called Verb. They have a really good, they call it like a berry and bee latte right now, where it's honey and cinnamon and brown sugar and blueberries in a latte. It is delicious.
Sounds killer.
So good. So lots of good food, snacks, drinks, just chilling out to this weekend for the most part. And been a good time. So, let's see. Oh yeah, I do want to let you guys know, Johnny could leave this podcast at any moment. Just if you are watching video, understand that if you just see him go dark, that's okay. His wife Cassie is on the brink of childbirth, so it's very possible that Johnny's first Father's Day will spend with an IRL kid. So
I think we have a set date now officially for next week.
Okay,
that's like a hard deadline, but we're kind of hoping before that. Obviously,
that's like the induction, like the day they're going to induce. Yeah.
Listen, as long as she waits until the end of this show, that's fine by me. Okay. Well, a little bit of housekeeping before we get really into the meat and potatoes of what we've got this week. I do want to let everybody know this is the official season 2 finale of N21FM. We are going to be proceeding and joining up our seasons of the show with the competitive seasons of Pokemon so that we can just have a good cadence of content production. It makes things a little easier, gives us a bit of a break, and it turns out that this year it also happens to give Johnny some time to be with his family. Take some time away from any of this and let him focus on being a good dad and husband. So thank you for your patience with us. If you are a Patreon subscriber, I will not have my feelings hurt if you cancel your subscription for the next month or 2 months while we are waiting. We're going to be starting back up sometime after the World Championships. That'll also be the point at which we have Juanto Saldana back on sometime. We've already got him for sure coming on the show. Not sure exactly when, but that will be taking place. We'll also be doing some changes to the Patreon format when Season 3 launches. We're going to change the tiers around. I'll give you a preview now. The change is going to be $1 a month will now get you early access to every episode, as well as access to N21 Plus, which is our supplement bonus show. $5 a month is going to get you an early preview of each month's guests, as well as access to a Q&A thread so that you can have your questions for our guests read on the show. And then $10 a month will get you all of those benefits, as well as a producer credit where we'll read your name at the end of each episode. So if you're feeling inclined, please join us, support us over there at any of those tiers. I want to make it a little more accessible because I feel like a lot of the content we put out on N21 Plus is really valuable, and I want more people to see it. So lowering the barrier to entry. With that said, leave us a like, a comment, subscribe, rate us on Spotify. All of that housekeeping out of the way. Want to get that done. That is, of course, if you like what you hear and see today. I don't want to pressure you. If you think the show sucks, tell us. Don't follow. Frankly, let us know that the quality could be better. But in the meantime, without any further ado, fellas, the North American International Championship has just wrapped up And I'm really excited to get into it with the two of you.
Yeah.
I think VGC finals are still going on right now, but
I believe so.
It's a little late in the day for us to kind of go into that. So let's not, waste too much time worry about that. Maybe next year, if there's more time, we'll just spend the whole day or record early, and I'll be able to spend the whole day kind of watching finals and see what's going on. Or maybe I'll be there. We'll see. We'll get live coverage from the floor.
Yeah.
Anything we want to talk about real quick before we kind of jump into what we're talking about with NAIC?
No, I think let's get on into it. Yeah.
Outstanding. So, if you look in the Google Doc, I just added a couple of things. So, the major things that I want to talk about are Top Cut in TCG Masters, and then I want to kind of talk about the way the championships kind of rolled out for what happened, because I wasn't able to get quite a great look. I know finals in TCG was a God of War mirror, and spoiler alert, North Carolina native Isaiah Bradner finally took on his first ICW with God of War this year, which is super exciting.
Carolina? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's originally from the Charlotte area.
Oh, that's insane.
Is why it's so exciting for me.
Oh, that's nuts. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So super hype. Cool. I'm always excited when somebody from here does well. It's always cool to talk about.
Oh yeah, it's another reason why like this state kind of has like some of the more amazing like players I've seen in TCG, especially in like the more recent years.
Yeah, lots of unsung really good players too.
Yes, absolutely.
Zach, you're one of them. Let's see. I don't have a picture of top 8 right now. Do either of you have a photo of what top 8 was, or do you recall? Because I seem to remember. I seem to remember one thing very interesting. Right, you do? Okay.
I do. If you want, I can throw this up on screen.
Yeah, actually, that'd be awesome if you can throw that up. I don't know if it'll be visibly very appealing, but that's just the way
it's not going to be, unfortunately. Pokedata is not super appealing, but we can just kind of start at the top.
Yeah. Tord Club actually did make it into Top Cut. That's crazy.
Tord did make it in Top Cut.
Yeah.
I think maybe one of the big surprises to start at the top of this really is Ray Chen. Ray Chen had the best record out of every single player in Swiss, and immediately like they get the bye because it was a top 15 and not a true top 16.
Yeah.
And then immediately loses to Tord in the first round.
Was Ray the player that was on Toadscruel?
Yes.
Ray was on Toadscruel.
That's my goat. That's the guy right there.
Toadscruel EX is such a cool deck. I cannot believe it made it to Top Cut of NAIC.
Yeah.
I'm still so unfamiliar with that deck.
It was kind of the perfect storm for that deck, honestly.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason why it did so well was just because the Marnie deck is just kind of walled out completely by it. You have enough dudes who have enough HP to kind of withstand, the damage and everything. You can push up a Teal Mask Ogrepon and then retreat that dude back and not worry about getting hit by the bench damage from Grimmsnarl. Like you have to hit it with Monkey Dory damage. Which, I mean, it's not going to be that hard if they could bench damage it to KO, but it's more about like forcing them to not be able to hit dudes on the bench, and then you just get further protection with the Toadscruel.
Nice.
So it's kind of just a good deck, I think, and this was kind of the right the right event for it.
Yeah, super cool deck. It's been seeing a lot of play lately, and I'm really interested to see where it goes from here, because I like the idea of a goober Toadscruel deck. Like it's very much the same energy as like what year was it when like the Truth got played? And it was just
like 2011 or something like that.
2011.
Yeah.
It's it's always super interesting to see decks that are like that perform well.
Yeah. It definitely does have that feel a little bit. It's something that I probably should like sleeve up soon at some point, because I have the Toadscruels in a binder still from like a year ago.
I think I have a million of those guys stamped, and I was just like, this is useless.
Well, not anymore, apparently.
Yeah, I guess not. So. Zach, what are your thoughts on Toadscruel EX?
Oh, this deck is sick. It is the sickest thing that I've ever seen in my whole life. The deck does two things really, really good, and it's prevent attack effects, which is like destroys Dragapult. It destroys Marnie. It prevents Marnie from doing Devo plays, which is insane. The deck is Devo proof.
Wow.
And then it denies discard manipulation with the Baby Toad Scroll. So like Goldingo, which was like a super sleeper pick for the event, a lot of people thought, just gets completely destroyed by this deck. And then if you listen to the Lake of Rage podcast, Ray Chin does an interview on that after the last top 8 that they got.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And they actually know like a very intricate way to beat Raging Bolt, which seems like it would be like the hardest matchup for this deck.
Oh, that's interesting.
So like if they know the ends for that matchup, then they have like the top 4 decks covered, because like they prevent Guardy from doing manipulation out the discard. They prevent Grimmsnarl and hit it for weakness. They keep Dragapult from pinging stuff on the bench. And then if they have the route to beat Bolt, they have the route to beat Bolt. And they just don't have to worry about it. Like their worst matchup is probably like Flareon, I would imagine.
Oh, that's so sick.
That's really cool.
I love that a lot. Toad Scroll's a fun. It's a fun design, and then on top of that, it's a really cool idea for a deck. I think it's cool that something so anti-meta is doing so well.
Yeah, for sure. It's a little unfortunate to see Ray get beat out without getting any further in the finals. It would have been really cool to have that in the top 4.
Certainly.
But I think Towards. I'm actually interested to see Towards list, because I don't know exactly what he played.
I need him to be on Lucky Helmet.
I know it was some kind of weird Tord. It was a Tord list of Dragapult. It was not a standard Dragapult list.
Bro's running the 1/1 Urshifu VMAX in there.
Right.
just for posterity's sake.
Yeah, it's okay. You're gonna look at the list when it comes out, and it's just gonna be like a 1/1/1 line of like Blaziken or something in there.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh man,
I'll take the over on 1 Mela.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, I would not be surprised.
Yeah. Sweet.
Beyond that, I don't know. I'm gonna scroll through here. I know. Tord beat out Makani Tran. I know Makani was on Dragapult list. They were on Zardbolt, actually. Because that was in Makani played Lucas Zing at some point during day 2, and that was a very unfortunate game for Lucas.
Yeah.
It was the first game was like done in 5 minutes, and the second game was probably like 15 at most. Yeah, it was rough. Lucas just did not get anything they needed. Very unfortunate.
That's all right.
But
Bodhi showed up.
Yeah. Oh my God. Bodhi. Is this Bodhi's first Master Season or second Master Season?
Second. I think he was a Master last season as well, or this might be his third even.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's his second. I think he was a first year Master last year.
Yeah, I know he's a little newer to Masters from my understanding. He did impressively well throughout the whole tournament. They were highlighting a lot of stuff with Bodhi's success, and I think that was pretty cool. But
what was Bodhi on? Guardy?
Bodhi was on. Oh my God, I'm blanking on it now. I'd have to go hunt that down. Let me see. Dragapult Dusk Noir.
Pult Dusk, okay. I wonder if they were on like the Drick 60. I know a lot of people were playing with the Andrew Hedrick, like Pult Dusk with the single psychic and Neo Upper type beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That might be it, honestly. I think that was it, because I think Bodhi did have the Neo Upper in there. Which is it's really funny, like, to see Dragapult kind of like swing all the way back around to that.
I know, it's so sick.
As this whole season has gone, like end of the previous season, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Dragapult's not worth playing. You could only put Neo Upper in," and then
Crystal came out. And was
the
like
2024, right? Exactly. Like Crystal comes out 2024 season. All of a sudden, everyone's like, "Yo, Dragapult is crazy good," and it was pretty good, just a little overshadowed by Drago, and then we're full circle back to Neo Upper. Like, maybe this is good and Crystal's bad.
For sure. Yeah, and then there was like the unfair stamp period as well, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
super cool.
that deck having as much evolution as it has had through the season, I think, has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Really, really cool for that.
Awesome.
Trying to see who else here.
I don't think there's a whole lot else of note, at least for me, as far as Top Cut goes, because I also wanted to talk a little bit about the other two divisions, juniors and seniors. There's some pretty interesting stuff that happened with that as well.
I have one more thing about Top Cut, is that Cameron Chenoy is playing Zoroark.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
That's
yeah.
cool.
So Chenoy is like one of the Tabletop Village locals, and he's also like somewhat affiliated with like the people at the Trash Lange podcast. So Liam Halliburton from that podcast was like preaching the word of Zoroark for like a while and ran with a group of people to the last regional, and it was just kept tinkering with the list. And I guess Chenoy took it to this event, even though Liam chickened out and played Dusknoir Dragapult instead. But it's sick to see it like still live. Like everybody thought like this would be the deck that Shaman would kill, and it's like still kicking somehow.
Yeah.
I
think
that's super.
I think Shaman is gonna again keep suffering from like the Spiritomb paradox. So I'm interested to see how Zoroark will continue to evolve as the season goes on with Shaman in it, or I guess the format goes on with Shaman in it.
Let me see. There was.
I think that's ultimately the. Oh, Piper Lapine was in Top Cut. What the heck?
Yeah,
I didn't even realize this.
Yeah, the names for Top Cut were pretty crazy. Honestly,
this is low-key a scripted NAIC Top Cut.
This bracket right here alone is like
nuts.
A crazy strong.
Because like Antonucci is also like a super strong player. Yurko Valencia is also a super strong player.
Yeah, for sure.
You will always find me cheering for Piper Lapine as well. But also, I would have been torn in her match against Bradner. So, truly
she was on the Marnie deck, the Grimsnarl.
Okay.
So yeah, she was running that because they had her game against Henry Chow a little earlier for day 2.
Okay, sweet.
Which was also super cool game. Definitely a good like watch to just see. Again, Henry Chow just run it back again with Gardevoir and
he's committed.
Watch.
He's committed to that deck.
Absolutely. So yeah, it was overall it was a really, really good Top Cut for the most part. And then as it kind of narrowed down, obviously we got to Tord, Riley, Greg, and Isaiah, and that was 1 Trackable and 3 Gardevoir decks. So
yeah,
we can hit that up.
The writing's on the wall for that one.
Yeah. I will bring us real quick over to the seniors bracket.
Yeah.
Because this seniors bracket
also pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy. And I think like the highlight being
Gabriel Fernandez.
Yeah.
Taking his 3rd IC. I think, is that this season as well?
He has won all of the internationals this season.
Yes. First of all, before we move on, I don't want to move on without saying it. Congratulations, of course, to Isaiah Bradner for winning the TCG Masters division, but also incredible. Yeah, because that was his first IC win after his first season with a regional win. So that's a big deal.
Yeah. Super cool for that.
And not to downplay that, but
no.
I am terrified for the day that Gabriel Fernandez becomes a master. Because
it is next month.
Yeah, it should be.
No.
Yeah,
I
do believe
so scary.
Does he get to finish out his season as a senior?
Yeah, he'll compete at Worlds as a senior, but he'll start earning championship points as a master.
Absolutely wild. Winning the IC hat trick in one season is just terrifying. I think a lot of people downplay how good seniors and juniors are, but then you see Gabriel Fernandez play, and you're like, wait a minute, I could be afraid.
The stat I saw that was insane is that Gabriel Fernandez is the first person to earn the maximum amount of possible championship points in a season.
Yo,
because he has 4 challenge wins, 4 cup wins, and then 3 IC wins and 2 regional wins for his majors.
That's so sick.
That's insane.
That's a really cool stat, actually. That's insane.
The first season that they implement this new system of like bids into worlds with like point standings.
It's like, all right, I'm just gonna win them all.
Someone already gets it.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
That's like low-key a legendary first for anybody to be the first person in this system to accomplish that. absolutely incredible. Congrats to Gabriel Fernandez. I'm scared of you. Don't match me. Stay far, far away from me. Please and thank you. That is so strange. Yeah.
Absolutely sick.
Anything else in this seniors bracket that we want to talk about?
I don't know too many of the other names. Or
do we know if Joseph B is our Joseph B?
He is.
I do not
believe so.
Because that would be nuts.
I can let me check the Meeple Discord real quick, because if anybody knew, it would be them.
Okay.
Because I'm just not certain, but that might be our Joseph B.
Because if so, also a scary day for him to go up into Masters.
Sick.
Yes, he's also
personally
a crazy good player.
Yeah, I mean, on my bad cup days, I've already been.
That's our Joseph.
That's our Joseph.
Yeah.
Let's go!
Top 8 in seniors,
Nice.
lost to Gabriel in top 8. That is incredible. Another
insane
huge W for the North Carolina area. That is our Joseph
Berg, I think.
Berg, yeah. He's a crazy good player. Also very scared for when he comes up to be Masters as well.
Next month.
Exciting that. Also, if you're going to lose to anybody, it's good to lose to the guy who wins it all. So
so
true.
I have been washed by Joseph at multiple cups before. So
yeah, he's so good at the game. It's scary.
Once he ages into Masters, that's it. We're done for.
Yeah, we're cooked. It'll increase the well, actually no, because with some other people leaving from like Shane's group, I know Shane said this was his last competitive season, so we got to bring in some new blood, some
that's
good
true.
masters.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is exciting. But that is super, super cool. We got some representation from Charlotte showing up at NAIC. So really impressive stats showing up. This is a really, really impressive season across the board. Yeah. And then before we, I guess we can kind of continue on. Another really noteworthy accomplishment is if you go to the juniors bracket, you'll notice something very similar about the finalists. And that is their last name, actually. These
which
are two.
So OVH doesn't include the
the
official last names.
So Annabelle and
I do believe
Kenji Ono were the finalists in juniors. I don't know what decks they were playing, but these two are siblings.
It was a Pultzard mirror.
Oh, it was a Pultzard mirror?
Same 60 Pultzard mirror.
That rocks.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So these two were playing the same general premise of a deck. I don't know if they were on the same 60, but how outstanding to be playing up against your sibling in finals for NAIC. Like, that's how you know, first of all, if you're their parent at that point, you're probably like, oh man.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing probably forever.
Yeah.
Like
to me, this is like the story of the weekend. It's these like two local siblings, and like they've both been like massively successful throughout the season, if I remember correctly. Like they just like take it all the way at the biggest tournament of the year, and when they get to the end, they have to stare each other down to see who gets the win, and it's like so nuts and cool to see that happen.
Yeah.
Scripted.
Truly, this is literally like an isekai type beat. So cool. Congrats to the Ono siblings. Also, they had matching drip. Did you see? They were both like all the way dripped out in Rocket gear. It was awesome.
That's so cool. God.
What were you saying, Johnny? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. The only thing I was going to say was, if I remember correctly, I think they were also from the Tabletop Village community.
Yeah.
And I know that Kevin Clementi has talked about them before and had their parents on like a podcast at one point, and like it just sounds like for these kids, it sounds like just they have a blast doing this, and this sounds like it was probably one of the most fun like games they've ever played. You know, because like you get to play against like your sibling, and you get to just have a good time with it, you know.
Also, going home, Kenji got an earful.
I can only imagine.
You know he's not living that down for the foreseeable future. But that's cool though, because you have like literally baked in competition in your own home. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also like baked in like collaboration. Like whenever they're older, they could be like Gabriel and Vinny Fernandez or whatever, or like Alex and Chris Szymanski, and just like work together to like, you know, make this like great force in the game in the future. It's like super interesting.
It's always cool when siblings are doing well in this game. It's a reminder that like this is a game for families and friends and people to do things together, and that's clearly the best way to do this game is to collaborate with somebody that you care about and to produce something out of that lets you have a competitive edge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So super stoked on that. Congrats to Annabelle and Kenji Ono for their huge performance in the junior division. Can't wait to see what they do next season and in further divisions. Those will be two names to keep an eye on for sure. Oh man.
Definitely.
So I believe that's kind of the main thing I wanted to talk about for NAIC as far as that goes. Oh, I do want to point out actually never mind. That was I thought I remembered something correctly and I did not. My mistake. We'll keep that in. But with that said, I kind of wanted to take the next however long to go over with the two of you. Originally, we were going to have James on as well, but with some scheduling conflicts, he was not able to make it. So we're going to go over, each of us have prepared kind of a top 3 to top 5 favorite decks from the past competitive season of Worlds 2024 to Worlds 2025, or I guess NAIC. And we're going to talk about those, kind of talk about if they've had any noteworthy performances, any particular cool quirks about the deck, anything that we're really fond of. And I wanted to start, we're in no particular order really. So I guess everybody, if we want to fire off our first, Zach, let's start with you for your first of 3 on this docket. And if we have any that overlap, we can also replace that if you guys have backups.
Are we gonna start low to high or high to low?
Any particular order? If we're doing it like this, let's start low.
Okay.
I don't have mine in any particular order, but I definitely want to hear your third place.
So if we're doing top 3, number 3, Pidgeot Control.
Yes.
Loved this deck pre-rotation. I haven't tried to play it since rotation happened, but I'm very curious to like give it shots. It's such a blast. Like, and I never tried to play Control before I tried to play this deck in Pokemon. Like in previous card games, I love Control decks. Like in Magic, I'm like a notorious blue and black like Control counterspell player. In Yu-Gi-Oh, I was like a very big stun player. So when I switched to this, I never really tried to play Control because I didn't like understand it, because there's not like really any interaction. It's all about like resource deprivation.
Right.
And just like one day I was just like, well, I'm just going to try to learn how to play Control because Lost Box is bad because Reggie Drago is good. So I need to figure out something to play. And just fell in love with it, man. That deck is so insanely fun, so malleable. There's so many good cards that you can just like mix in and out depending on what the meta is. Like, I remember when I first started, it was like big on like the Black Kyurem for Drago. You would play the Milotic for Guardy, and you would play Genesect and Sandshrew. So Archelon Dialga can't Palpad back in Turos, and it was just like so fun. And then at the end, it was like when Quaff was big, it was like you need to play a Klefki or you need to play Radiant Serena so you can heal the poison damage. It's just like so intricate and fun and like a little puzzle, and like so consistent, because like just between like Sealstone and Rotom and all that other stuff, you'll end up getting Pidgeot. And once you get Pidgeot, you're like off to the races and it's free game from there. Just so insanely fun. So apologies to everyone in Charlotte I've ever had to play against with this deck. Thank you for putting up with me. You're welcome that I didn't press you on time. That's all I have to say.
Jeez.
True. So fun.
Oh man.
Yeah, Pidgeot's in my like top. It's in my list as well. I don't know if I have it in my top 3, and I'll use a different deck for my third place as well.
This is the only deck in my list that I did not score championship points with. I love it that much.
It's a good deck. It's a cool deck as well. Like, it's nice when you have, it almost feels like, in my mind, it feels like vaguely adjacent to like the commander format in Magic, where you're just like, my deck revolves around this one guy doing his thing.
Pretty much, yeah. And then like your singleton toolbox behind him. Like, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's very cool in that way. And I like it a lot for that. I guess I'll go ahead with my third place as well. I want to have some representation for it on the list because I'm sure that Johnny will say the other deck that I'm thinking of. But I want to bring up Regidrago. Now, I never played Regidrago V-Star, but I do adore the fact that it has come so far as a deck. I would be remiss to not like mention it. Just because it was such a powerhouse. It was too good. Of course, like it was a broken deck. It was very much Silver Tempest Lugia type of broken. Kyurem and Dragapult made it a really, really good deck. And I just think it's cool to see a deck like that we've struggled to be able to power up for so long just show up and do well and stay doing well until it rotated. So
yeah, pretty much.
I'll definitely have some honorable mentions because I don't like having to compliment Regidrago V-Star as a deck just because it's so gross. But like I can't let myself not put that up there. And maybe that's technically an honorable mention and we'll swap it with something else on the honorable mentions list. But I definitely want to secure that in the list at some point. So with that said, Johnny, I'd love to hear your third place.
Oh, can I say one thing about Drago real quick?
Yeah, please do.
Regidrago is proof that when you are looking at a set, never discount the cards in it if they show promise.
Yeah.
People are so quick when looking at a set to see a card that is interesting or has potential and dismiss it because it's not currently useful. Yeah. And Regidrago literally waited 2 years to be playable, essentially. Like, it came out in Silver Tempest with Broken Lugia and saw like 4 different iterations that never saw play. And everybody was like, one more Dragon Attacker, baby. And Regidrago's on the map. And we kept getting him and getting him and getting him. And it didn't work out until it actually got Energy Engine to go with it with Ogerpon and Energy Switch and stuff like that. And then Kyurem was just icing on the cake. Yeah. So it's like,
I remember distinct. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's just like whenever you look at a set, if you see a card and you think it's interesting, just file it in the back of your brain. Because you never know when that card's going to end up being good down the line.
Yeah. I remember when in Scarlet Violet base, they reprinted Energy Switch, and I was, why do we need Energy Switch reprinted?
Yeah.
Why am I'm never playing this card? And then fast forward a couple of months and years, and I'm like, oh, I should have kept my golds.
Yes, yeah. Whenever we started building Terra Box, I had to get Energy Switches out of my bulk. Like, not even my playable stuff, my bulk.
Yeah, I was getting it out of like my like 400 card single row with my Crown Zenith stuff in there. I'm like, never thought I'd be using this ever.
Took a few months, took half a year, I think, for Energy Switch to like even jump on the map because it was what was it? It was Roaring Moon.
Yeah, it was just fringe playable in like the original Roaring Moon deck with the
Galarian Moltres. Moon for Radiant Greninja plays.
Oh yeah, and that too.
Yeah, that's too. Absolutely.
It's wild, by the way.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. But yeah, Johnny, what is your third place, buddy?
Oh man. I feel like so one of mine, I'm sure someone else is gonna mention it, so I'm gonna save it for when we have the big discussion on it. And that's probably a first place anyway. So let's go with my non-honorable mention and say the Bennett Guardy deck, actually.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
That was a fun deck. That was a deck that was good at a time in the meta that I think was very like kind of the meta was not solid. We had Drago, but that was about it. But this was a deck that kind of handled Drago pretty well. I mean, it was the early stages of like seeing Badoo come in and completely wall out Drago from playing. And, you know, Bennett comes out and Bennett just comes in and takes over because of that item lock and that ability to, you know, work perfectly with the Monkey Dories that just came out, and you can just Guardy loop and switch back and forth, and you know, it's so weird. It's a deck that I think had been messed with for a while, and no one had really found the right way to play it. And the Monkey Dory comes out right before Worlds, and suddenly people are, you know, really like messing around with it, and it starts having good finishes. I think for a couple of regionals, it had some really good finishes. I couldn't say which ones specifically, but I know it had some top 8s, or I think it had at least one top 8 early in the season.
Yeah, it was a couple of the ones right after Worlds.
Yeah.
Like one of the first ones in Europe, I think, like Matthias got like top 8 with it. Like he was like the originator of that deck, like pre-Worlds.
Yes.
But yeah, its deck is super sick, man.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like just and then with Surging with or not Surging Sparks, but with oh my God, I'm blanking on the name. Mid Crown, Stellar Crown. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, true.
Stellar Crown came out and gave us mostly bad cards, but it gave us Gravity Gemstone, and Gravity Gemstone made that deck even better. It's absolutely it's absolutely diabolical in that when you play that format. Just staring down like a Bennett that's locked you into the active with like, you know, no hope of getting out and no chance of, you know, having like a attack off that turn, or at least having to like invest like heavily in your resources to get out, and still maybe not take a KO. You know, that was so sick. So I had a blast playing that deck.
True, it's a good deck.
And
Salvatore Box walked so that Bayonet Guardian could run.
Absolutely. I think like the coolest thing about it too was like learning the matchups, like because I put the time into at least like learning a bit, and like learning how to play it and learning its matchups in a way where it's like, okay, you know when to item lock and you know when to
like Poltergeist,
so that you can get your big KO, because you're like, okay, well, I have to do it when the hand size is okay. I can't do it when it's too low, but I have to also make sure that the items are there, that there's trainers in there. So a lot of it comes down to like sometimes gambling almost on that attack, but in a more fun way than maybe just playing like a Lugia deck or something.
True.
Like that.
Yeah. Very cool. No, I super agree. It's a cool deck. I love when Bayonet EX sees play. I really like that card. I think it's really well designed. And it's cool.
Healthy item lock.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Badu is a little unhealthy item lock, but I think Bennett was like kind of the great form of it. So
they're kind of like antitheses of each other, right? Like Bennett is balanced in the fact that like it doesn't do anything else particularly good, and if you kill it, it takes 2 prizes. But Bennett is like the opposite, where it's like it does it way easier and way more mobily, but it's little tiny squishy boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Badu is the squishy one.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. Zach, what is your second place?
Lost Box Pikachu, baby.
Ooh, okay.
Big Lost Box fiend here. Played so many different variations of the deck. And Pikachu is so good. That guy can just blow anything up, and then you can't blow it up back unless you play Canceling Clone or Monkey Dory or Slitherwing. And luckily, since it's Lost Box, you have ways to like beat the shit out of those dudes too. You have like Iron Hands, so you can take care of monkeys. You have Iron Hands, so you can take care of Slitherwing too, actually, pretty much. Or Greninja, or Sableye, or Cramorant, or what the fuck ever, man. It's just like, it's your house. It's your house, baby. And as long as Regidrago is not in it, you are clean and chilling, and you will destroy anything. That's just so fun. It was like so nice to like have like some sort of reprieve to like play Lost Box again, even though it still wasn't good into Drago. It's to at least kick the shit out of everything else. So it's like if you just dodge Drago for a tournament, you're fine. Like so good.
So good.
At least locally, the strategy worked.
It was like
in a higher play as well, because that was what's his name? He's from Raleigh.
Oh, that's right.
Grant Manley.
Yeah, Grant Manley played Lost Zone Pikachu to a really high finish. So
that's right. I forgot about that.
It's a good deck. It's not to be slept on. Like, I wasn't a big fan of it back in the day because I couldn't afford a Pikachu at the time, but I would have loved to try that at some point. So
it was so fun. Like the one thing that like made it super good is like having Night Stretcher.
Yeah.
So like I remember early on when people were playing it, they were playing heavy energy counts but lower stretcher counts, and I was trying to do the opposite. So like people were like super scared of only playing like a singleton of one of the energy types. They would try to play like 3 waters and 2 of everything else. I ended up just like cutting one of the Pikachu energy types, like either the metal or the grass. And then playing double stretcher, just because if you hit the discard stuff, then stretcher plus rod plus gate is like your full combo, and you can get it off of hassle like anytime you want in the late game. So it was just so good. It like literally beat anything that wasn't named Ready Drago. And if you were lucky, and they had a slow start, you could maybe even beat Drago 2 if they didn't KO Manaphy. So
or if they benched Kyurem thinking that it would be an easy win.
One thing me and Josh Wilmerding talked about once was like we would play double pal pads, so at any point in the game we could just pal pad back in all of our courses.
That's so
yeah.
So if they just raw drop Kyurem, they're shit out of luck.
True. Yeah.
That's awesome. I remember trying out that play, and I tried out the deck, and it was a lot of fun. I had it built out at one point. Not my favorite version of Lost Box, but definitely a fun version for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super good. All right, Johnny, what's your second place for decks out of this format? This is going all the way back to, by the way,
Twilight Masquerade.
Twilight Masquerade was this season?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Twilight Masquerade came out in June.
Holy smokes, that's right.
Yeah. So in between, it was legal.
Okay, so Twilight Masquerade
format. Kind of similar to what Black and White are going to be doing this year.
I'm cool with that.
But as far as second place goes, I got to give it to Roaring Moon. The turbo Roaring Moon that really started popping up. I mean, it was already around, like, to be fair, but the version of it that started popping up post Worlds, especially. Mm-hmm. And it kind of was there during Worlds too, but it really, like, I think took off after Worlds when it got some of the other tools that just kind of made it insanely good. Some of the coolest bits into it, I think, were when we got Surging Sparks. It absolutely took off during that meta because it had Koraidon and Latias in it. Mm-hmm. And I think though having a Latias meant that you didn't have to run 2 Petron, so you didn't have to always risk a Petron on the board.
You didn't even have to
put
play
a Latias
Petron,
in play.
Frankly, if you didn't want to. This was
I still have one
in the game.
I think you had to just because Snorlax was still around.
Yeah, true.
Because of Snorlax. I ran 1 Petron just in case, which saved me at a couple of locals when I hit our local stall players. I absolutely would just drop Petron on the board as early as possible in that match, and I think pretty much every time I did, as soon as the Petron came out, they scooped.
Yep.
So there's nothing they can do.
That deck was so just absolutely fun, like trying to like tool and play around with it. I went into the meta like not really thinking I would ever play Roaring Moon, and then I remember sitting down with Lily after a tournament and watching her play the deck. I was like, yo, this looks so cool.
Yeah, she is like truly bonkers with that deck. Like, so holy moly.
Oh my god.
Yes. Yeah. The probably the best player around for Roaring Moon.
Yeah.
Certainly one of them.
She's insane on Claw too. She's another sleeper exceptional player in our area.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this was such a fun deck to play and just kind of like try to figure out your counts. Like, what's the optimal? And this was a deck that was very like figure out that optimal count and play it that way and test and refine to get those counts right again and again and again.
I like that Moon became a more versatile deck too, because you had the options for like single prize attackers in Baby Moon, as well as like Power Glass plays, and even back to the days of Galarian Moltres V, like having that in the game was really, really cool. So that's a lot of interesting stuff. Turbo Moon is a banger deck, and I love it.
Absolutely. I think the one thing that I'm probably the saddest about is the fact that I didn't really ever try too much with like the Power Glass plays moving forward from it, because I think I had kind of left it behind after Surging Sparks ended and Prismatic kind of began. It was a shame too, because at the end of Prismatic, literally a week before rotation, we have Tim Franklin come and play it to a second place finish with the Power Glass E-Switch Gradient Greninja version.
Yes.
And I would have loved to see the deck continue. I probably would have picked it up again, honestly.
Yeah, that would have been super cool.
Absolutely super sick. Yeah, such a fun deck.
True. My number 2 deck it's honestly really a toss-up. By the way, Johnny, I was fully prepared. Actually, no, I'll wait for you to say what your number 1 is before I bring this up, because it might be it'll either be it'll be an honorable mention, or it'll be your number one. But my second place has to, unfortunately, go to one of my favorite decks I've ever played, in Palkia Noctowl. It has barely been pushed down to second place. I'll tell you what first place is in a little bit, but I love this deck. I was on the Fabrizio Inga Silva 60 as soon as I remember when I woke up that morning, because it was my birthday, right? It was my birthday, and I look up to see like how Top Cut is going for both of the tournaments happening at the time, and I see an insane amount of Palkia Noctowl in Top Cut at whatever regional that was, and then seeing that Fabrizio had taken it in was that Sao Paulo, or was that I don't remember which.
I don't remember which one it was either.
It was a South American.
It was one of the Latin American.
I think it might
have
been Sao Paulo. Yeah, it's definitely like one of the Latin ones.
It was so sick for me. I love. It was literally like the best thing I could have possibly imagined. It was such a great day for me to wake up and see that. And then also, it was San Antonio was it was second place and 35th and some other cool stuff. Just such a cool deck. I love seeing the spiritual successor to Palkia Inteleon, which is the first deck that I had played like really like, okay, this is something I can compete with. I adore the versatility of that deck. I adore just how I'm so nostalgic for it, and I'm not ashamed of that. I know it's not like healthy for the game or whatever, but it's still it's still so cool to see that deck have its other time in the sun right before rotating as well. Like just having Palkia do well before it had to go out. And this was also the first instance of Splup Ditto tech that I saw.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It is so sick. I was on the Transformative Start Splup Ditto. Right. As soon as 151 came out and we found out the Battle VIP Pass was rotating, I was like, dude, this Ditto is going to be the best card in the format for getting your guys out. I bought like 2 play sets of it because I was like, oh, surely they'll never reprint a shiny one. And so I was like, oh, this is going to be stonks. And then it wasn't, because there's a Paldean Fates one. But such a cool deck, being able to like, oh yeah, I've got Radiant Greninja in the deck, so I can do the same old plays. I've got Palkia in the deck, so with Big Bench, so I can do a bajillion damage and not even have to worry about it. I've got Mew EX in the deck to deal with all the stuff that I don't want to deal with otherwise. And just such a busted engine. It's so good. It makes me so sad that Palkia left the format even further. And then just seeing like all these cool techs in here, like seeing the one of Judge, the one of Thornton, another banger card. I miss Thornton every day.
Such a cool card.
Give us Thornton back. I want to play it in Terra Box. And then
Thornton would be nuts in Terra Box.
Thornton would be so good.
So disgusting.
I would go back to botting Terra Box if Thornton was in the format. I'm not even ashamed of that. But yeah, so that's for sure. It's not even close. That's my second place. It's so good. It would be my first place if it weren't for the way my first place turned out. So Zach, let's go back to you for the first place of your decks from this season. Not this season. Yeah, from this season.
Dragapult.
Okay.
Basic answer, Dragapult.
It's a good answer.
And I say this not because of recency. My other 2 picks were based on somewhat recent events, but Dragapult was the deck I started playing at the beginning of the season.
Oh, I remember.
I played.
You were playing the Mela build.
Literally every version of Dragapult that was able to be played, I have played it. I've played Xatu. I've played Pidgeot Neo Upper. I have played Scoop Up Cyclone. I've played Unfair Stamp. I've played Lost Zone with Prime Catcher. I've played Charizard. I've played Slowpoke. I've played Dusknoir. If there is a build that had Dragapult in it, I've played it.
Have you played Dangopult?
Oh, except Dangopult, but that's more of a Dango deck than a Pult deck, in my opinion.
I mean, we've got Blaziken Pult now. Apparently.
I mean, I'm gonna try to play Blaziken Pult. I'm gonna try to play Typhlosion Pult. I'm gonna try to play Pult Bats. I'm gonna get in that bitch. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
So like, it's just so good. It's just a big guy that just sprinkles damage. He just sprinkles it around all over the place, and then you just do the math, and then you figure it out from there. And it has so many interesting tools that accommodate for that. It's synergized with Radiant Charizard. It's synergized with Radiant Alakazam, so you can spread your damage further.
So good.
It's so good with Pidgeot because of things like Mela or Crispin, which allow you to accelerate the energies. It's like one of the first, like any success story of Neo Upper Energy, because it just covers both energy types. Which Neo Upper is also like a sleeper good card on Pidgeot to attack if you really need it to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Scoop Up Cyclone was good in that deck because you couldn't one-shot it at the time. They did not have Lily's Clefairy, so you just punch it, scoop that boy up, and put him back down. It's like nutso. Baby, it's bananas. Good with Charizard as a partner because it's another beefy boy that gives it energy.
And it gives you like a big beat stick at the end of the game too.
Yeah,
right?
It just gives you an in-game nuke, which is bananas. It was good in Lost Zone because it's just more flower selecting, except you don't get rid of your cards. Mirage Gate works really great on it, so you don't have to play the Neo Upper or anything else. You could play a secondary Ace spec, and it was still really good. It's just so good. It's just a good card. Dracloak's a busted draw engine. Looking at your cards and picking which one you want is just absolutely bananas. And then utilizing things like Monkey Dory or Dusknoir or Hawlucha or Pheasantipity or Monkey Dory to like figure out how you want to set up your damage or assist your guy is just like there's a breadth of options, and we still haven't figured them all out.
There's still more. We're learning.
Yeah.
So it's just
absolutely
bonkers deck. It is like the most fun I've had playing Pokemon since like original Sablezard was kind of rotated out with Clara and Raihan. And it's like it's just anytime Dragapult has been good, I've played it and I've enjoyed it. It's just great deck.
So good. I love that deck too. I think like my reason for not including Dragapult on my list is because I knew somebody else would pick it. Because it's impossible to ignore how good that deck is and how good it's been for so long. And it is a lot of fun to play. You're right. Like having Airmail back in the format is colossal. Like I love it.
Yeah.
So good.
And it's so intricate. So like there's ways to maneuver around trickier matchups that like allow you to like express skill and like skill diff your opponent and just like maneuver your way through the board state and figure out your way to like get to the end in like all sorts of like weird and creative ways. It's just so fun to play.
Yeah.
Fully agree.
I think the coolest thing also, like you mentioned with Airmail, like Recon being, the spiritual successor to Airmail. It's cool in the sense that like I think it allows people to kind of like come up with like weird and wacky versions of Dragapult builds, or like builds of a deck where they can just find space for a Dragapult in it. Like I think that's kind of one of the coolest bits. It's like, oh well, I've got this, like I need a draw engine for my deck. Let me throw in like 2/2 Lokeline, and then I already run Psychic Energy. I could probably fit like maybe 1 or 2 Fire Energy in here and a Dragapult, so let's just toss them in there and see how it goes. And it's so weird that like that's become a kind of a doctrine in like deck design right now. But it's really cool.
Yeah, like incidental evolution-based draw engines have always been like pretty good, and we've seen it before, like way back in the day, where like in Paldea Evolved format, like a lot of decks, or even Obsidian Flames format, where a lot of decks would just slot in like a 2/2 Kirlia and 1 Gallade, just so they would have like a draw engine plus supporter catch guy. Like Charizard did it, United Wings did it. It was just like a decent way to like alternatively build draw engines outside of using Bibarel. Now there is no Bibarel. So it's like if you need a secondary draw engine, you either play like Zoroark and risk a 2 prizer on your board, or you just play Dracloak and then fit a Dragapult in there if you need a cornerstone answer or something like that.
True. Yeah. So good. Yeah. Love Dragapult. It's a Hall of Famer, I think, as far as decks go. And I love decks that like pick apart your opponent's board like that too. Reminds me of like the Rapid Strike box days.
Dragapult might be the best second best deck of all time.
Really?
Yeah. It's like first? It's the best deck at being the second best deck.
Oh yeah.
Dragapult has never been the best deck in the format, but it's very often been the second best deck in the format.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
First place, second place deck.
Yeah, it's like it's always in Guardy's shadow, unfortunately, but it's really good at being second place.
Yeah. True. Oh man. Yeah. I look forward to seeing how Dragapult evolves too. It'll be cool. Johnny, you're up next. Give me your first place deck to talk about.
Okay. So
I know this is tough.
I'm assuming that my first place might be your first place.
It's possible,
but I don't know for sure.
We'll see.
So if not, then I'm going to swing back around and say my actual first place.
No, that's fine.
But no, my first place, genuine first place, I think, and this might actually be, like I said, genuine first place, even regardless of that. Was Palkia Dust Noir. I had so much fun with this deck. Oh my god, this deck.
That's with the Greninja, yeah.
A banger, yeah, with the Greninja. So you run the Greninja EX line. You run the Radiant Greninja in there, and it's just good. It's so much fun. This deck was never about. Every time I played it, I think it was never about like winning the game by like taking all the knockouts. It was simply about demotivating your opponent into scooping.
That's so true.
It is the most like in terms of just like toxic deck design, I think this one kind of fits the bill. Like it's not even toxic in an unfair way. It doesn't feel like when you play into it, it doesn't feel like you're playing into Snorlax. It doesn't feel like you're playing into someone playing, you know, a really annoying control list that's going to stop you from playing the game.
Yeah.
It feels like you're playing into a deck that you're like, okay, I think I have a chance. And then you slowly but surely see at like turn 3 that they're about to just board wipe you.
Jeez, yeah.
And you'll have nothing to show for it afterwards. And you'll just have to like, and you have to play the rest of the game after that, knowing that like, yeah, you're gonna like, oh, okay, I can pick up the pieces and play, but like they still have the advantage, you know? They still have like a Palkia on board that they just can punch me with, you know? Like now they don't need to spread. Yeah, it was just super good. And I think like the star of the show obviously was like the Pokestop in there. I mean, Pokestop was
so busted.
Truly
I loved
a busted card.
The era where Pokestop, Night Stretcher, Dusknoir was the engine that so many decks ran.
So gross, dude.
It was
oh my god.
Yep. You just you Pokestop and you mill cards and you're like, oh, okay, well, I lost a Dusknoir, but I got Rare Candy and Night Stretcher in the same Pokestop.
Pretty good.
Cool. I also had a Rare Candy and Night Stretcher in my hand this turn, and I happen to have 2 Duskulls on the bench, so, you know, let me just go ahead and run that 2 times real
quick.
Drop
2 hydrogen bombs on my opponent's bench.
It's ridiculous, man.
So good.
And it's just like Palkia was like the best self-sufficient attacker. Because it also like synergized with the discard. Like I remember there were versions of this deck where you would play like Charizard, but it's like a little more difficult because like you needed to use more rare candies that you didn't use on Dusknoir, and then also you needed your energy in the deck.
Yeah.
With Palkia, it's just like you just go one time on the big boy, the energy's in the discard already, you use the ability, and now you can just like punch your way through the rest of the game after you just like absolutely demotivate your opponent by destroying their little boys.
And it was interesting because it was the first instance where I was able to think of Palkia with Dusknoirs in that light, where I was like, oh no, the damage from Dusks outweighs the damage that you lose by shrinking your bench. Like in that, I remember that math being super cool because it was straight 50 from the Dusclops. And then you were only losing 20 by it not being on your bench. So it's a net 30 by playing that option, which is at least, you know, so that was really, really cool. And
the math also works out like super conveniently for a lot of like your snipe KOs, you know, like 50 plus 90 from Greninja KO'd pretty much anything that was a single prize, like stage 1 or lower. If you did the Dusknoirs and you did double Dusknoir plus Radiant Greninja, you're going 220, and then you're that point you're KOing 2 prizers. I had multiple games where I was able to give up 2 prizes to take 4 in a turn off of that play, and it was just that's such a fun play when you can pull it off. And then if you're able to set up the Greninja EX as well, which is a little bit more of like a high roll turn because it's like needing the Dusknoir play, but also then needing like the rare candy for the Greninja EX. But you have to Palkia, you have to use Star Portal before you evolve to Greninja EX because
it only goes water to water types.
The waters.
Yep.
So you have to be careful about it, but it's that's one of those plays though where like if you got that off, you're doing, you know, the 170 plus 130, and then you're like blowing up literally anything that just
It's also like
crazy.
Greninja's like such a capable attacker because it not only like does significant enough damage, and it also hits weakness on like at that period of time was like very significant. Like Terapagos is really highly played, so it hit that for weakness, it hit Blood Moon for weakness, it hit Fez for weakness, it hit Rotom for weakness.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So and there's so many like ways you can like manipulate the prize exchange to where you could just like either like take 2 and then set up your turn with the Shinobi Blade Search to take your 2 on the next turn as long as they don't like pure Iono you.
Yeah.
Or Dusknoir something on the bench, pull up something that's fighting weak, and then take 4 with the Mirage Barrage. Which is like it is the most spicy meatball play. It like feels so good to do. And it's insane. I always thought that Palkia Dusknoir, especially the second turn going first, is the closest a Pokemon deck will ever feel like to playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Because like you are just fucking solitaring until you wipe their shit out. It's like exactly like it.
Really?
Yeah,
so
that really did feel like that. I think the coolest tech that I included in this, it wasn't something that was, I think, in the standard lists for it, but it was something that I messed around with and had a lot of fun with, was the Thornton inclusion.
Oh, yeah.
Thornton just was an absolutely amazing card, but like being able to Thornton to like get your Squawk ability or your Rotom V off the bench that you used at like the beginning of the game.
True.
You know, to get like literally it's just another way to get a Duskull back into play. It's a way to get like a Froakie that you discarded early on, and you now have the Greninja and the rare candy in hand. You know, it's a way to get that in play. It's a way to get Radiant Greninja back onto the board if it got knocked out at some point. Like it's a huge out to like Gus KO Lone Palkia V too, which is like the worst possible thing that could happen.
Worst outcome.
Playing that deck.
Yeah, absolutely. It provided a lot of utility, and then even I even ran it a little bit after Batu came out, and it still wasn't actually too bad. Believe it or not, because a lot of the times that you're kind of like doing your Pokestop plays and milling, that's happening not as much on your first turn as it is on your second turn or third turn. And so we could kind of like bypass like the Badu Wars, because you could just, you know, set up like a Clops and then blow up a Badu that's like harassing you, and, you know, get yourself moving forward with the play. And then if they brought Badu back in for some reason to try to stall out mid game, I threw in Alana's Aid in there as well, which was actually really strong. I cut one Night Stretcher for one Lana's Aid, and that felt really good.
Nice.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I ended up playing 2 Ciphers in that deck at 1.2, and that was also really good into Badu, to where you could just like stack your deck under item lock, so you can like just get a supporter that you might need, or like Palkia V-Star if you can't find it otherwise.
Yeah. This is probably the most like Cypher capable deck that existed. I think it's better than like Golden Go using Ciphers, honestly, because like Golden Go is like grabbing stuff, you know, off the top first 2 with Cypher, but like this is like, oh, let me stack, you know, 2 items, and then Pokestop, let me stack 2 anything, and Radiant Greninja, you know, and then you could even Pokestop, and it's like, okay, I got 2 items, the third one's whatever, and then you get a third item as a happy accident off the Pokestop anyway. You're like, oh yeah.
I think retrospectively, like if we went back in time and played the format, like that deck could have been like a 4 Pokestop, 1 boss, 1 Iono type beat. You didn't have to play any Iridas probably.
Maybe so.
That might be the case. That might actually be the case.
Real, actually. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I might even say like cutting boss completely and going like pure counter catcher on it. Maybe not.
I think you need one, but like you could do like a little split to where like you have like one guaranteed gust at the end of the game, probably.
Yeah.
Also probably one of the best decks to ever use Prime Catcher.
Oh, true. Prime
is one of the strongest Prime Catcher decks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
An absolute monster of a deck.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So good. I miss that deck so frequently.
Yeah.
Oh man. I guess it's my turn to go for my first place. This is probably no surprise to anybody, but my first place has to be the Sablezard build that the 3 of us concocted in the most recent format before rotation, where we played Crisis Punch, and it was double Cram, double Sableye, 3 Rod, 3 Stretcher, Crisis Punch,
Regigigas, 1 Jet.
Regigigas, yes.
Oh no, Regigigas 2 Jets, right?
Yeah, Regigigas 3 Jets.
3 Jets, yeah.
3 Jet, 3 Psychic, 3 Fire. So good. Having Regigigas in that deck felt incredible. I still have this deck built, by the way, there because I'm just like, this is one of the decks that I want to keep built so that I can have it as a memory, because it brought me a lot of success. It got me the furthest I've ever gotten in a cup, before I got snuffed by actually by James sneaking in just past me. It's okay, I was robbed. But congrats to him anyway. He did super well that tournament. But still, like, it reminded me that I am a good player, and this is kind of like a little deeper than I anticipated getting into it. But the fact that I had experience with that deck and was able to do so well with it, and it was a meta pick, and it was something that the three of us had actually collaborated on, largely due to Zach, like your expertise with Sablezard, to be fair. But I was very serendipitous that we all kind of wound up on the same exact 60 after testing with it for so long. And I fell in love with this deck, just playing it, and even actually getting to show it to Grant Manley. And he and I talked about it when I went to Raleigh. It was super cool to just kind of have that opportunity to share one good lost box with another. It reminded me that I was like a good player when I was able to finish well with it and consistently do well, and remember like, no, I'm good at this game. Because it was at a time where I was very down on myself when it came to playing this game and second guessing my skill level with the game. So it was what I needed at the time, and it performed really well, and it would probably still perform well, quite frankly. It didn't lose to Badoo. It still smoked Dragapult. It had outs against everything. I always felt like I was in the driver's seat when I was piloting that deck. There was almost never a situation where I was like, oh, there's nothing really I can do. I was like, no, I've got a route against this pretty much.
It's like the only deck you lost to is Ancient Box, and it's like not even a deck anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It was definitely one of those things where, like, I remember when we first made this, when we were first discussing this, and the comments from a lot of people were, well, what about Drago? And it was just like,
what about him?
Just don't play Chorus. You could actually win this without playing Chorus.
True, because that was like, before Badoo came out.
And like, even then, like, it was once Badoo came out and locked Draco out, then people were like, oh, but what about Badoo? And I was like, all right, watch this.
It's like, we got 3 Jets and 2 Artisan. Like, we're finding our dudes. We're flower selecting. Like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then we'll cram that sucker.
Yeah, we'll cram. And then just, there are a few things that activate my neurons, like Crisis Punch for free at the end of the game, man.
So good.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
Having that play and just being able to, like, throw it down, like, someone's like, all right, I think I've got you, and you're like, nope. Night Stretcher for Cram counter.
Incorrect. This fuck-ass bird.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, one of my favorite things about playing that deck was, like, playing into Archaludon and, like, baiting them into getting into a situation where they can't win because they can't double Turo in a turn.
Yeah.
So, like, you either walk into the Radiant Zard or you walk into the Crisis Punch. You have to pick your poison.
Yes. Yeah. So good.
Yeah. You set up the damage ahead of time on, like, the Archaludons, and then you just gust around, like, the active one to the benched one to blow it up for weakness.
And then you keep Artisan in your hand so that you don't get screwed by Jamming Tower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Truly.
Absolutely.
So good. Definitely my favorite deck this season. And, like, it's not even close, man. Well, that's not true. It is super close because I love Palkia Noctowl. But, like, in terms of, like, what the deck did for me and how much I fell in love with it via playing it, like, to put it like this, I was playing this deck over Palkia Noctowl because it was that same format right before rotation. And that's how it kind of was decided for me. Like, no, this is my number one. So good. I love that deck. I miss it every day.
I think for me, like, man, without like getting too far away from this, but I think for me, like, Lost Box just kind of represents, like, the quintessential, and this specifically, this build of Lost Box, it represents, like, the quintessential deck to, like, really just test a player. Like, are you good at the game? Do you know what decisions to make and when to make them? Can you remember, your count? And it's not like a teched out, deck where, like, memorizing, like, your one-ofs of, like, 20 or 30 different one-ofs is important. It's a deck where it's like, can you memorize which cards you have 4 of and see, do you have those 4 in deck, or is something prized and you have to navigate without that, or like something like that. Like, it felt so good when all the pieces lined up, and it's such a good deck, I think, to like teach someone how to play the game.
Yeah,
too.
Big major aspects of the game that like are really interesting, that like kind of set Pokemon apart from like other card games, are like very well represented and tested by playing Lost Box, which is like prize mapping, resource management, decision making, and like deck knowledge. And some decks like challenge 1 or 2 of those things in your brain at a time, and Lost Box kind of challenges all of them, and also like damage math. So like so much of like Lost Box is like either like making hits and then Sableye cleanup, or Sableye setup into your big hits. And then this specific version really teaches a lot about prize mapping, because like you're expected to go down a prize or 2 so you can just like clean up with Radiant Zard at the end of the game. Like whenever I first learning how to play Sablezard, like way back, like in Scarlet Violet base format, I had like a hard time at first because I was trying to prize race, and that's not what you want to do playing this deck. If you try to prize race, you're going to run out of your resources. You just have to like set up your plays so that way you can prize race them 1 to 2 at the end of the game, because they can't take 6 prizes faster than you can take, or they can't take 6 knockouts faster than you can take 3 usually. And it's just like super interesting how it like tests the skill of different players based on that.
Truly.
Yeah,
I love that deck. It's iconic for me. It is a Hall of Famer. The Lost Box engine in general is gonna be missed. Of course.
I miss it dearly every single day.
Every day. But I think like we've all been kind of talking about, like that particular build really exacerbates what's good about that engine and good about this game. Yeah. With that said, I look back at more decks from this format, and I'm reminded that there were some really good decks. If you guys have any honorable mentions, let's talk about those now.
I have a big one. And it's if there was room for a 4th, I'd put this 4th, but it's Charizard, Pidgeot, Dusknoir with Hero's Cape.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, Cape Zard version.
Yeah,
yes.
I adore this deck. I was the biggest Charizard shit talker for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then I picked it up when it was the only good deck to play that wasn't called Arctina. And just really started to enjoy it. And then whenever Drago format was coming around, I was just kind of like not able to play Dragapult super well, because like Drago was a little too oppressive, and all the turbo decks were a little bit difficult to like route around at the time, but Charizard handled those like really, really well. So I just like made the switch preparing for Baltimore to switch from playing Drago to playing Zard, since it still used the Pidgeot engine at the time. And just like really, really started to like fall in love with playing that deck specifically. And the build I was playing at Baltimore is what I call consistency Zard. Like a lot of Zards were like super teched out at the time.
Yeah.
They were like playing like Counts of Night Stretcher and Thornton and all sorts of different things to like manipulate different matchups. And I was just like, if I can set up, I can probably win whatever I play against. So I just need to play like as many setup supporters and ball search cards as I can. So I was on like 4 Arven, 3 Iono, 3 Boss, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Buddy Poffin, 3 Nest Ball, Rotom, Cleffa, the whole 9. No Thornton, no stretchers, no nothing. It's like Rod is good enough for me, baby.
World's 22 special.
It's so sick. And then Hero's Cape was like my favorite ace spec for that, because like it made Bolt and Drago way harder to beat Charizard, because they couldn't use Teal Mask Ogerpon to one-shot it at any point in the game. I think Teal Mask needed like 7 energies on it or something like that, or 5 energies on it or something like that to take the KO, and it's just like not feasible, like if they don't like pre-prepare beforehand knowing that there's a cape coming. It was just so much fun. Love that deck. I also played double turbo in that deck, so you could like attack with Radiant Charizard in the middle of the game. That's so sick. So sick.
I love that.
Love that deck.
It's a good deck. I totally forgot about that.
Super sick. Yeah.
All right.
Oh man,
Johnny, do you have any honorable mentions you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I got one. Big honorable mention to a deck that I didn't ever really get a chance to appreciate in its like heyday because I wasn't playing at the time. But a deck that had a very large resurgence right at the end of the format, and that is, or at the end of F block, and that is the Reggie's deck.
Yes.
An absolutely amazing deck to play. So fun. Just like I can only imagine just how cool it was probably to play like in its original form. Back with VMAXs and everything, because you had Gigas that could just come in and blow things up. But no, this version of it, the newer version that uses Area Zero and runs the Pikachu and the Greninja, and just absolutely like goes in on your first turn in an effort to like set something up from turn one, was just super, super cool. And it was able to do it. I think that's what was the nastiest thing about it. On turn one, if you go second with this deck with the right, like, just draws into stuff, because you're playing Squawkabilly and you're playing Research, you could just, like, hand dump your way into Radiant Greninja, snipe two things off the bench, or Pikachu EX blow up the active. And to me, that was probably one of the most fun ways that I ever played a deck. God, it was just an absolute banger.
Yeah, for sure. Very much so a fan of that Reggie's deck. You performed really well with it too, which is super cool to see all the time. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about Reggie's. I never got a bunch of experience with them, but it is always, I remember always liking it conceptually. So for that reason, I totally agree with you.
It was just cool that you could play both Gigases. That was
True.
kind of nuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't like you had to have one of every Reggie. You just had to have them all. So if you had Area Zero and you put the other Gigas down, you could charge it up. It was like so gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you could like Thornton into it after you used it.
Oh my god.
Gross.
So bananas.
You can.
So
yeah, there were some spicy plays that you could definitely pull off with this deck. I think it's like one of those decks that, like, again, it's a little underexplored, and it makes me wish that we got to stick with like F block just a little longer. I think if people had like messed with this more, I think it's one of those decks that could have seen maybe some bigger like tournament performances, maybe done like some actual work in maybe towards the end of the format that we didn't necessarily get to see.
Perhaps so. It's getting to that time. We're gonna need to start wrapping up soon, but I do want to go over real quick my quick honorable mentions. First of all, I'll shout one out for James. Golden Go, of course, is a banger deck. We didn't pick it, but I know it's on his list. I know he's the Golden Goat, truly. Love that deck for him. But the ones I want to talk about, of course, N Zoroark is exciting, but we don't really have enough experience with that for me to put it out there. I do love the Terapagos decks that they've been coming out lately. And like Terrabox, of course, like it's got a special place in my heart because we played it to Atlanta. I think those are my biggest ones from this format. Other than, of course, like I remember playing Arctina a lot too, and that was a lot of fun.
Ooh, yeah.
Lost Zone Tina, Bradner's list with Benetti
with the
X
Benettes.
was super cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think that was one of the cooler formats. I think back on it now, and like when one of the best decks in the format is Lost Tina, which is the worst deck ever, the worst good deck ever. Like it's indicative of a cool format. IMO. So that warms my heart. I think it's pretty cool. Any other honorable mentions either y'all want to bring up before we kind of wrap things up?
I don't think I have too many others. Maybe as a more recent one, just briefly mentioned, the Blissey deck that's kind of come out. I'm naming all the weird ones I know, but
cool.
The Blissey deck that's come up in some of the more recent tournaments, I think it's a meta call for sure, but it's definitely a cool deck. I think it's another deck that is underexplored, but thankfully we have enough time with it still, where it could maybe see some innovation, some changes, some improvements depending on what happens with it. Because the Blissey itself is like H block. I think pretty much everything in it is with the exception of the Roaring Moon, everything in it stays in format with us for a while.
Cool.
Yeah, because eSwitch is getting that reprint. I guess unless they don't reprint Nest Ball or Ultra Ball, that might be an issue.
I can't imagine not printing some sort of ball search. And then you still get to keep Monkey Dory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monkey Dory stays around. Sada, or not Sada. Yeah, the biggest issue really with it is probably going to be the research, going away, and the Arvin going away potentially. I think those will probably be like some of the biggest issues with it. But otherwise, yeah. I mean, I think it's a cool deck. It's a fun one. It's just a fun one.
This is good. I remember when I first I remember being one of the first people in our like big group of folks at Get Some to have like Dragapult and be playing it. I was on Zatupult, and the first tournament that I was doing really well at, I ended up playing against James, and he played Blissey, and I got shit on. It was so upsetting.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But yeah, it was. That's a cool deck. And
that first format, Blissey had one good matchup, and it was Dragapult. It lost to literally everything else.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, cool. Let's kind of go ahead and call it there. Those are some of our favorite decks. Let us know what your favorite decks are in the comments below. I think it's been a really cool format. I'm excited to see what next season will bring us. This season has brought us a lot of cool stories. And that is, again, what I think is, again, the best part of this game. So I look forward to seeing what the next format brings us. Zach, I understand you've got somewhere to go, so thank you for coming on tonight. We will we'll leave your links to your socials in the description, as well as the Patreon and all that good stuff. Make sure to join that Patreon, patreon.com/terminalcreative, so you can get early access and get your questions on the show and a producer credit in the coming season. Thank you for a wonderful season of the show as well. To both of you. You've both been, Zach, you've been on a little less frequently than Johnny, but you've been a delight every time. You've been a delight every time, though.
Thank
so
you.
Glad to have you
for
on
having
again.
me.
Of course. But with that, everybody, have a wonderful night, a wonderful rest of your day when you're watching this, and we hope to see you again in season 3. Peace out, guys.